Breastfeeding and it's important to newborn babies.
Sweet mother, I never forget you. For the suffer where you suffer for me. Sweet mother, I never forget you. For the suffer where you suffer for me. When I dey cry, my mother go carry me. She go say my pikin, where can you dey cry? Yo, stop.
Listeners of LCR, you are welcome to the program Asomolo Wume Bonwo, interpreted as Modern Child Health Care, sponsored by Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link and Lebialem Community Radio. Our discussion today is on breastfeeding and it's important to newborn babies. So, if you are just back from the farm or having a bottle of beer to cool your taste, be seated, stay tuned to the program Asomolo Wume Bonwo, and today's focus is on breastfeeding and it's important to newborn babies.
Sweet mother, I never forget you. For the suffer where you suffer for me. Sweet mother, I never forget you. For the suffer where you suffer for me. When I dey cry, my mother go carry me. She go say my pikin, where can you dey cry? Yo, stop.
Welcome back, listeners of LCR. As we introduce, breast milk alone is the best food and drink for an infant for the first 6 months of life. No other food or drink, not even water, is needed during this period. Listeners of LCR, an exclusive breastfeeding baby under 6 months of age does not need water or other drinks or foods such as tea, juice, sugar water, and formula milk. Even in hot or dry climates, breast milk fully meets a baby needs for fluids. Stay tuned to the program Breast Milk and it's important, brought to you through the support of Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link and Lebialem Community Radio.
Sweet mother, I never forget you. For the suffer where you suffer for me. Sweet mother, I never forget you. For the suffer where you suffer for me. When I dey cry, my mother go carry me. She go say my pikin, where can you dey cry? Yo,
Welcome back, listeners of LCR. Breast milk is a living substance that protects against illnesses because it contains antibodies that transfers the mother's immunity or resistance of diseases to the child. No other milk contains these antibodies. Secondly, newborn babies should have immediate skin-to-skin contact with the mother and begins breastfeeding because skin-to-skin contact after birth stimulates the production of the mother's breast milk. Thirdly, breastfeeding also helps the mother's womb contracts, which reduces the risk of heavy bleeding or infection and helps expel the placenta after birth. Fourthly, colostrum, the thick yellowish milk the mother produces in the first few days after giving birth, is the perfect food for newborn babies. It is full of antibodies that helps protect the baby against infections. Lastly, a mother breast make as much milk as the baby wants. If the baby suckles more milk is produced. Almost every mother can successfully breastfeed and produce enough milk when the baby is in good position and as well attached to the breast, with the breast well in the baby's mouth. The baby feeds as often and for as long as she or he wants, including during the night, and is kept on the breast until he or she has finished suckling. We are going to get the views of some breastfeeding mothers on how they have been breastfeeding their children or newborn babies. Stay tuned to the program Breastfeeding and it's important, brought to you through the support of Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link and Lebialem Community Radio. We shall be back.
My name is Madame Fonja Mariana.
I want to talk about breastfeeding for newborn babies because I just see you with some beautiful young baby. Wait, hold on. What is your name?
Nina Darwin. They're 2 months old.
If you tell me how you breastfeed this young baby.
You know, say beginning this, so they get some signs and at times so emotional. Each time they cry, you breastfeed them. You breastfeed them, stay them flop. So when they often cry, if you give them breast maybe 6 times for 1 day, depend on the baby. Some people they too cry, they too over hungry. Follow give them breast, following their own way of consumption. Some people they will do and so they might also if too over cry plenty, so they will give breast milk plenty. So I don't even know how many I give 1 day.
For one give breast milk, how long?
No, at times if it is sleep for long, if you sleep there's some 1 hour, so after the 1 hour you can give breast milk. So each time we it up, if it is just play, relax, they start cry, I give it. And so for my own I take and follow them. Because if you give yourself any fee as to take them, take them.
For how long you intend for breastfeed?
I intend for breastfeed for 3 months. Then I start giving water. Because now I give you nothing, only breast milk, no water, no food. So after 3 months, I give you water and then I give you food, milk.
For how long we intend for cut Bobby?
1 year, exactly 12 months or 13 months, depend. If not fall sick for the 12 months, cut them for the 12 months. But if he's sick for that 12 months, I will continue for 13 months.
What will be important for breast milk for young mother according to you as you breastfeed a picking? Which advantage you think say the picking get for take this breast milk rather than for take artificial milk?
The first thing for me, the mother and child relationship, communication between mother and the child. The way it is sucked your breast, so there's a communication between you and the baby. Secondly, to health, make a baby look stronger. If they strong, you know they feeding them on milk, you know they feed on breast milk. And comparatively, than of breast milk, they look stronger and healthier. For my own experience, my beginning, so and all they don't say if me say they no breastfeed them with natural milk.
As a breastfeeding mother, some people they talk say, "Mommy, when they breastfeed begin to we see get advantage because it make you beautiful when you breastfeed begin. You don't weakness this one."
I don't really know. I put a visit and now they talk. You again, I said, you really notice something. I don't really know that one.
What will be last words for this new picking away just born when I first time for born or picking away the belly or picking away hand for breastfeeding?
I advise all them say if you born your pikin, concentrate, give your pikin breast milk, give them. As I one time for the take them, give them. See people look healthy, will look strong for eye. Because if you need to get patient for get pikin breast milk, you cry. You say me they cry for day. You know give breast milk, you know give enough breast milk for enough hours or time. Me breastfeed for a long time. The people always look sickly, you know, look strong. So I say all Monday, me they try to give pikin breast milk, me they concentrate, give them well. If you really hungry, give them even at 10 times for 1 day, give it. Because he need the food, now you need to give it. And breast milk, when it's so calm, it look stronger and healthier. You need to spend for breast milk, but you must feed well. For say, begin to take the breast milk too well. But then breast milk can be light. If you lightweight, you know, to kind of flop. But you feed well, take enough milk, begin to look strong and healthier. So say about all, mommy the way belly, and they boy no yet know for breastfeed their pikin them.
Some young mothers they something they want breastfeed a baby. Why? Because the breast they go fall. You get fit about this opinion.
Na nature. If you not follow, one don't if you not breastfeed the pikin for that so you get more you see for as far as the age the camp the breast don't give pikin bobby go see the 4. So give the pikin bobby now for breast for 4 na nature. Some man the way they give pikin don't want to pikin the breast is strong. So that breast for 4 and for stand na nature and it's a natural way one really explain. But in a pikin it be the cause of pikin the way they suck am. If you say they make the 4, now see that baby go so 4. So younger they now born picking say baby already 4. So if I say that picking the baby.
My name is Cameroon Comfort.
I see you very beautiful handsome one baby. How many months a day?
9 months old.
Which kind of thing you give this picking way a fat so?
The picking the chop any kind chop where you just give the chop away.
So you start giving chop for how long?
4 months.
What we talk to me is I give chop for 4 months.
I will give because it be the overcry. So I'll not be free for all the picking so till reach 6 months before it start chop.
You don't cry, but sometimes you get sufficient bobby now.
No. We be not hungry.
If they breastfeed it for the appropriate time we supposed to take. For how long we used to breastfeed it? Meaning we the time and anytime we want to give it bobby, if we don't calculate them.
No.
Then we tell you now for clinic say me breastfeed begin for 20 minutes.
No, they never talk.
What do you think is important for breast milk for picking?
The important we say make the picking grow fine, maybe healthy.
Achereke Paulina from Atonga.
How you dey breastfeed your picking?
I dey breastfeed it very well before the pikin dey pass so.
How many months are they picking the?
It dey now 3 months.
You're giving her only breast milk.
Only breast milk.
Why are you giving her only breast milk?
Drink water for chop.
And which time will you think you will start giving chop? Where you will start giving chop?
Me like you, I feel try to I feel succeed for 6 months, 5 months. I feel start to give the chop.
Why we you not feel breastfeed it for 1 year we not give you chop?
No, because it will be difficult for we farmers them for because you get to be that time, so at that time you go get time now for take and to go your own.
You ever calculate how many minutes you take and suckle for be satisfied?
As they became fast, so I did breastfeed it on 10 legs for 1 hour. Like you say, you go instead 40 for say me you limit for say me your own correct so.
How many months, how many years you intend for cutting bob?
1 year, 5 months.
Where you go cutting bobby?
Yes.
What will be important for this breast milk where you give them for you?
For me picking me be healthy.
But some women they talk say they don't like for give picking breast milk. Why? Because they fear say the bobby will fall. This why you need a fear.
No, how I go do fear? Once as you don't just start your first picking, you know say if you just shoot for me the people, so you just move your bobby picking show all man now because you get small picking for hand. You not get to hide your bobby.
What do you get for talk for picking them way when at the first time for born?
For that one I feel avoid and when the rush you know to they born their own picking now so where they hide their bobby. They did then. No man know they now way it would disturb way if you just they see their bobby carelessly. They don't have they hide their bobby when they run born now. Now way they get to they show their bobby carelessly because you know say anytime when picking start the craving are from main road, they should run from main road breastfeed.
You don't ever look picking where they breastfeed exclusively with breast milk and the one way they breastfeed this artificial milk, and where you compare the two, which anything if you talk for listeners and for Lebialem community radio?
No, I not get no advice for that one because I no find notice.
Na ya picking on a man bona.
Na my picking.
So I want to talk about breastfeeding. How you breastfeed this picking?
I dey breastfeed my pikin in control because tomorrow you feel if picking for after your sister, you go for some place, you will remain cry too much.
So how many times will they breastfeed the picking for 1 day?
You feel breastfeeding like 3 or 4 times.
Time you will breastfeed the picking for 1 day?
I breastfeed 4 times.
Anytime you want breastfeed the picking, how long it take? How many minutes will it take for breastfeed the picking?
You have to sit comfortable. Then you make sure that the child is you breastfeed the child well.
If we sit comfortable,
so that picking will have appetite for the breast milk.
What is for you be the importance of breast milk to the baby?
Breast milk is important for baby because it be very important. Make the child to be healthy and
after the breastfeeding, I might know whether it be satisfied, don't flop.
When you breastfeed, you hold the baby like this. The baby beige, you know that it's okay for the baby.
Young picking the way they just born when the first time for born. What do you advise them for breastfeeding?
You have to advise them breastfeeding the baby. You sit comfortable before you breastfeed.
Welcome back, listeners of SCR on the program Asongolewume, interpreted as Mother and Child Healthcare, sponsored by Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link and Lebialem Community Radio. As part of our discussion on mother and children's issues, our focus today is on how mothers breastfeed their baby and the benefits of breastfeeding. But before we get to our expert who will elaborate on the importance of breastfeeding, first bear in mind that mother should be giving the baby to who soon after delivery. This creates a special bond between mother and the baby or a child. Breastfeeding helps the mother and the baby form a close, loving relationship, a process called bonding. The close contact and attention helps infants feel secure and loved, which is very important for the child growth and development. It's important to know that after 6 months of age, the baby begins to eat other foods, and breastfeeding should continue up to 2 years or beyond because breast milk is still an important source of nutrition and protection from illnesses. In the studio, we have an expert on breastfeeding by name James Achain-Fontaine. Sir, you are welcome to the program Asongolewume, interpreted as Mother and Child Healthcare, sponsored by Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link and Lebialem Community Radio.
Thank you, George.
Our main issue is breastfeeding. Why is this breastfeeding very important to Lebialem division in particular?
I want to start by saying that great pleasure for me to be at Lebialem Community Radio Station to discuss an issue which has been on since creation. Breastfeeding is something that is considered to be natural, but you would realize that in most parts of the world today, women are shunning away, mothers are shunning away from breastfeeding because either they don't want to expose their breast, or some of the young girls in Cameroon are saying they don't breastfeed because they don't want their breast to fall. What is getting breastfeeding coming on the agenda all over the world, and particularly in Lebialem, is the fact that the percentage of babies that are benefiting from their rights to natural feeding, which is breastfeeding, is getting low and low. I would take the case of Cameroon, where the WHO UNICEF statistics show that only 24% of women in Cameroon breastfeed. This percentage is very low, and you understand that if it's only 24%, it's not even 50%, it's not a pass mark. That means that there is a problem. With the assistance of the commonwealth-of-learning, decided to insert infant and young child feeding in the program as one that would encourage mothers to understand how their bodies operate and how breast milk is produced and how this breast milk serves the baby when it is given the way it should be given. WHO and UNICEF recommend that mothers should breastfeed exclusively for 6 months before complementary feeding. And when we talk of exclusive breastfeeding, we mean that the mother should not give water. We have explained during the commonwealth-of-learning training, the one that took part in Z and in other places where we shared the activities that are going on in Lebialem, that should be considered very important in the community, because when you are nursing a baby, you are nursing a future leader. Maybe it's a pilot, maybe it's a captain of a ship, maybe it's going to be a general to head an army, maybe a journalist, maybe a broadcaster, maybe a medical doctor. When you have your baby, you should be able to think that the breast milk that you are giving is a right to this baby, because it is the breast milk that develops the brain of the child to be able to attach herself to the mother, and also it helps to develop the brain for recognition. And this is something that has been proven by scientists, that children that are breastfed are smart. And as I did say, there is every country that would want to have intelligent children. Statistics show that in Europe, in the northern countries like Finland, Sweden, the percentage of breastfeeding is very high. It's up to about some 90%. And one would think that if they had to use formula, it is in those countries where the income is high and that they have the monies to spend on formula, that it would happen. But it is the contrary. Africans don't have the money to buy the formula, and they have the natural milk that God has given them through the breast of the woman, and they are not using it. And we feel that it's important to talk and discuss it.
Welcome back, listeners of Lebialem Community Radio, FM 91.7. The program Asungolowung Interpreters Modern Child Health Care, sponsored by Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link and Lebialem Community Radio. In the studio, I'm still with Mr. James Achanyi Fontaine. Mr. James, you insisted on mothers breastfeeding for 6 months exclusively without complementary feeding. Why?
Exclusively for 6 months. Because if we look at the way the baby grows, when a baby is born, the stomach of the baby is too small, and the first milk that is triggered by the baby in the breast of the mother is colostrum, and this colostrum is just 1 teaspoon. That is the quantity that comes out of the mother's breast, and that is the first milk that comes out of the breast when a mother gives to birth. It is known as colostrum. It is yellowish in color. In African countries, and particularly in some rural areas in Cameroon, this milk is thrown away because they say it's yellow, it's not white, so it's not good milk. So we have to educate the population that it is the first milk, and that is how it is, because it is considered to be the first vaccine of the baby. What does colostrum really do in a baby? When the baby is bedded, the nurse has to put the baby on the stomach of the mother, because when the baby comes out of the stomach, the baby cries because of cold. And when the baby is then put on the stomach of the mother, this brings the baby in a confident situation, because the heat of the mother then warms the baby and the baby stops crying. And the mothers are advised not to force the baby to the breast. You just need to leave the baby on the stomach of the mother, and within 30 minutes to 45 minutes, this baby would have crowed to where the breast is. And it is this crowing that triggers the hormones that produces milk to start flowing. Once the baby arrives where the milk is produced, that is the breast, you would find that the first milk will come out. This yellow milk, this yellowish milk, which is the first milk, colostrum, is the milk that cleans the stomach of the baby and removes the black dirt in the baby's stomach, which is known as meconium. This is not removed. What would happen is that the baby at one point would start having stomach pains and would be crying regularly. And once this meconium is removed from the stomach, what happens is that it creates room for the milk that is going to be produced in the breast to settle in the baby's stomach gradually. Mothers have to understand that the baby that is just born is very fragile and doesn't have a lot of energy to suck for longer minutes, so she has to be patient. And when the baby suckles and goes to sleep, that baby should be put in bed for the baby to get the full sleep. Don't disturb your baby when the baby is sleeping. And when the baby gets up, because the napkins are wet, you just need to change them. And if the baby wants to suckle, you give the milk to the baby. What we recommend women to do is they should breastfeed their babies on demand. And why do we say exclusively for 6 months? Because if you had to give water before giving your breast milk, the water is going to dilute the milk. There is enough water in breast milk, at least 60% of what you have as content in what the baby is suckling. It's water and 40% milk, and this water that is in the breast milk that the baby is taking is quite enough to help digestion take place as the suckling is going on. When you start suckling your baby at the early age, you will discover that you are doing some saving, because babies that breastfeed normally and frequently do not fall sick. And even when they fall sick, they get well very fast, because what they are taking from their mother through the breast is what the mother has eaten. What the mother eats is what the baby is taking. And what we encourage parents to do, or relatives and the community to do, is to make it possible that the mother should have adequate balanced diet, so as to be able to bring up this baby without any problems. And once the mother is breastfeeding, you are saving money, you're not spending on formula, and you're not spending money on taking the baby regularly to hospital, you realize that the family would be stable and there will be harmony, because when the baby starts falling sick because of formula, because of diarrhea, the little money that you would have saved, you will spend for medical care, and the work that you were supposed to be doing, you will not be doing. You will be taking the baby to the hospital, waiting for consultation, waiting for the pharmacy to be open and all that. And the distances, you see the distances in Lebialem, they are quite great distances. So to get the mothers avoid all these hurdles in life, we encourage them to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months, because breast milk has no cost. And if they want to spend on formula, they know that they have to put a considerable amount around, because they would have to buy fuel, which is firewood, or if they are using gas, they would have to buy gas. They will have to buy sterilized bottles. They would have to buy special pots for making, for producing the formula for these babies, and they will need time, because the time that you spend in boiling water, mixing and doing the formula feeding, it would take about 1 hour, unlike a mother would generally spend only 20 minutes if the baby has to be well breastfed.
Some health experts showcase colostrum as being the primordial factor that helps the baby to identify its mother. Can you analyze some of those advantages on colostrum?
I would just want to explain that breast milk is human milk, and human milk is milk that makes a baby to grow in a human way, non-aggressive way. Let me just come down to earth. If you give the milk of a lion to your baby, you should not be surprised that your baby is acting like a lion, because babies that breastfeed regularly are attached to their mother, and they listen to what their mothers do. They are not aggressive, and it has been found in our communities that most babies that were formerly are fed with formula, generally when they are playing with their other friends of the same age, the baby that is breastfed is obviously stronger and robust more than the child that took formula. And you would find very often a baby that is formula fed who falls down and carries the head up and is waiting for some person or the mother or the father to come and get the baby up, unlike the baby that is really breastfed, naturally breastfed. When that child falls, that child gets up, doesn't wait. Those are indicators. Every person would want to have a child that is intelligent, and medical scientists have indicated that apart from attachment that is got by breastfeeding, because the mother is close to the baby regularly, the colostrum and the milk develops the brain of the child in an intelligent way. The child that is breastfed is generally a very intelligent child. Teachers and educationists have proven that, because if you go to a classroom and you ask the history of those children that are always leading in their class, you will discover that these children are children that were breastfed exclusively.
Listeners of our Lebialem Community Radio, if you're just joining us, the program Mother and Child Healthcare, and today we are talking exclusively on breastfeeding. And in the studio, I have Mr. James Chanyi Fontaine. I say, how can a mother succeed to breastfeed a baby successfully?
To succeed in breastfeeding, the mother has to program herself. The mother has to put aside 20 minutes at least when breastfeeding has to be effected. Why? The baby's jawbones are weak, baby's muscles are weak, so the baby is not going to suck like an adult or a grown-up child. The baby will suck. The first suckle should be considered as the first milk that comes out of the mother's breast, and this first milk contains a lot of water and very little milk. This first milk suckled in the first suckle is the milk that prepares the stomach to receive the milk that will come out of the breast later for digestion. So it is in the second, third and fourth suckles of a baby that the baby gets satisfied. How do you know that your baby is satisfied? Generally, there are three activities of a baby. The baby is wet. The baby will make noise to indicate to you that he or she is wet. The baby is suckled. When the baby is well suckled, the baby will sleep. And as the baby is growing, at one point, when the baby sleeps and gets up, the baby plays on the bed. Mothers have to understand that when they give the 20 minutes for a good suckle, what generally happens is that the baby goes to sleep and they have all the time to do other activities.
Why 20 minutes?
The why 20 minutes? Because, as I was explaining, the jaws and the muscles of the baby are still weak, so the suckles will not be as rapid as most mothers who suckle their babies for 2 or 3 minutes and they think that the baby is satisfied. No, the baby cannot be satisfied with the first suckle, because as I explained, the first suckle contains a lot of water, and it is in the second and third suckle that there is enough milk. And what we also tell mothers is that the more a baby sucks, the more milk is produced. When a baby stops suckling, the milk stops getting produced in the breast.
What is then the weaning age of a baby?
Well, as it concerns the WHO recommendation, when you understand that mothers have to breastfeed their babies exclusively for 6 months. From 6 months, the baby has already teeth to be able to snatch some of the foods that are eaten in the house. What you do is you have to get the food that is on the table in a porridge form and enrich it with other ingredients to give taste, because the whole idea of eating is a matter of taste. If the mother gets a taste of the food and the food is not tasteful, know that your baby is not going to take it. And once that baby starts eating what you are eating at home, it does not mean that you should stop giving breast milk, because breast milk will continue to be produced in the breast for as long as 24 months and above, considering that the more the baby sucks, the more milk is produced. This comes to the conclusion that the weaning age of a baby, according to normal observation, should not be less than 24 months. And it's obvious that most mothers, because of work, because of multiple activities, are weaning the babies a little bit early. But we use this opportunity to inform them that even if you are a working mother, there is the possibility for you to continue breastfeeding, because you can press your milk put it in a cup and leave with the person who is taking care of the baby, for that person to give that milk to the baby when the baby wants it. And maybe it's also an opportunity to tell those who are listening to your radio station that milk that is pressed from the baby, from the breast of the mother is valid for 8 hours if it is conserved in a proper condition.
Can a breastfeeding mother breastfeed another different child?
It's happening in situations where there are conflicts and crises. It may happen that during war, a mother died, and what is generally done is when this mother is taken to a baby care home, those who are breastfeeding their babies donate breast milk to those baby care homes, and this milk is given to those babies, and those babies grow normally. Yeah, the last thing I would want to talk about is breastfeeding and HIV, because after this interview, some companies will be coming to tell you that there is AIDS, there is this, HIV, so don't give your breast milk to your baby. The WHO recommendation is that mothers should breastfeed exclusively on demand. But in the case of HIV, mothers are supposed to consider the formula AFAS. That is, you can use formula if you know that this formula would be available, it would be feasible, it would be sustainable, it would be accessible, and it would be sufficient. Because if you decide that you're going to formula feed, the comparison that we do give from research that has been done is that when we consider HIV and breast milk, the mortality rate for HIV killing a baby is just has 4% if the mother is breastfeeding exclusively. But if the mother does not breastfeed and uses formula, the other diseases like diarrhea, cholera, and other diseases that you know will take the life of the child, and this has been put at 25%. So will you want to leave your baby, expose your baby to diseases that would make the baby fragile and later on die? Or would you exclusively breastfeed your baby and stop breastfeeding after 6 months because of HIV? This, we say, if a mother has to use formula, it should be on the consent of a midwife and a medical doctor. It should not be something that is imposed by a company. And I would want to say here that the decision on the choice of how to breastfeed the baby should be a decision of the mother, not of the nurse, not of the doctor, and not of the midwife. Breastfeeding is a right, and all children have a right to breastfeeding.
So are you saying mothers affected with HIV, it's not a problem breastfeeding their children?
I've just said here that WHO recommendation, you will realize that all mothers that are pregnant go for counseling in the hospital, and they are followed up to birthing. There are antiretrovirals that exist now to protect the mother and the baby. And if that mother is attending the clinics and getting counseling, there is obviously not going to be a problem. The medical specialists that are taking care will advise on what step to take. It should not be a company.
Thank you so much, sir.
I never forget you for the summer when you suffer for me. Sweet mother, I never forget you for the summer when you suffer for me. When I dey cry, my mother go carry me. She go say my pikin,
Thanks, Mr. G. Welcome back listeners of SCR. If you are just joining us, the program on air is Asomolewume, interpreted as Mother and Child Health Care, sponsored by Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link. If you have listened carefully, I hope you have taken something back on the issues of breastfeeding. But before we draw the curtain in today's program, it's very important for you to know that warm contact provided by breastfeeding strengthens the relationship of emotional security between mother and a baby. Children need physical affections and close contact with their parents for their mental health and inner security. Holding, hugging, kissing, massaging your child is as beneficial to the parent as it is to the child. Lastly, studies have shown that bottle-fed babies are twice as likely to die from any cause of death in the first 6 weeks of life and have a greater tendency towards developing conditions such as obesity, childhood inflammatory disease. Yes, if you are still listening, take this key message. Breast milk is brain food for the baby because it contains brain building nutrients. Breast milk contains a combination of wide range of nutrients that works in concert to help their child fulfill his or her potential. And to breastfeeding mothers, they should understand that breastfeeding immediately after birth ensure less blood loss, and exclusive breastfeeding helps to delay the return of the period, so there is a reduced risk of developing iron deficiency and anemia. Furthermore, studies shows that breastfeeding mothers are less likely to develop heart disease as they appear to have higher level of good cholesterol in their blood. Finally, breastfeeding moms on average lose more weight and their uterus retains normal more quickly than a formula feeding mother. Dear listeners of RCR, we shall now take our leave on the program as interpreted as Mother and Child Health Care, sponsored by Commonwealth-of-Learning in collaboration with Cameroon Link and Lebialem Community Radio. On the keyboard is Nkembison Oliver. We equally have contributions from Madame Fonje, a breastfeeding mother, and our expert has been James Achain Fontaine. On the mic, I am your producer and your host, Atabon George Atemking. I'm afraid time has beaten us till we meet next week. Thanks for tuning to 91.7. You have been a wonderful audience. Stay tuned to programs over LCRO. Bye for now. Till we meet next week. Bye. Ciao.
For the summer when you suffer for me, sweet mother, I no go forget you. For the summer when you suffer for me, when I dey cry, my mother go carry me. She go say my pikin, wetin you dey cry, yo yo.
Tabu